The Texas Longhorns have improved on defense every year under Steve Sarkisian. From 2021 and that 5-7 record, and then you go all the way to 2022. Field a great unit, especially at the beginning of the year. I will never forget watching that game against Alabama and thinking to myself, I cannot believe Texas is holding Bryce Young to minimal points and making life difficult for him. And then 2023, the secondary has a lot of holes, but it finishes as a top 15, top 10 defense in ESPN's efficiency, allowed fewer than 20 points per game. And last year, this is a fact that I actually disagree with, but it's interesting. ESPN's FPI viewed Texas as the number one defense last year, per their efficiency metrics. Texas was 1, Notre Dame was 2, Ohio State was 3. Now, I think Notre Dame was a paper tiger defense last year. It's a different topic, but I just think that the weak sauce schedule and the fact they didn't face any team with a good QB wide receiver duo, except for USC and Ohio State, really helped them. Really did. And their offense was all about running the ball, game control, and their defense was good at forcing turnovers and had some age, particularly in the secondary and defensive line. You look at Ohio State, I think they had the number one defense, but honestly, part of me understands the whole computers viewing Texas that way because Texas never had a game like the Oregon game. Even against Ohio State, who ended the year with a better offense than what Oregon had, Texas never got torched in that way. They never had a performance anywhere close to that. When they allowed 30 points to Georgia, a lot of that was turnovers, Georgia getting some short fields, and Texas's offense not really having a good day. And then against Ohio State, they only gave up 21 offensive points. The other 7 were to Jack Sawyer on a scoop and score. The point being, this defense has showed you time and time again that they're getting better, and the talent roster is still upgrading. It's not quite where Steve Sarkisian wants it to be, and I think that is the number one overall roster in terms of talent in America combined with the best staff. I don't think it's quite there yet for Texas. It's close, though. And yet, I see people listing Colin Simmons as a player outside the top 50 as overall college football players, like the top 100 player lists. Or I see people viewing Texas as a team that's overrated because, well, Texas isn't back yet, which is stupid. They won the Big 12. They played in the SEC championship game. And I mean, if you're Georgia or you're an Ohio State fan or you're an Oklahoma fan and you're saying, oh, Texas isn't back yet. Well, if you're Oklahoma, Texas under Sark has a 500 record against you and a winning point differential. And if you're Georgia and Ohio State, they nearly beat you last year and for much of the year were power rated higher than you. Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you. And all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. So, Texas is back. You don't need to win a title to be back. You just need to be in contention for one. Serious contention. They were never that under Tom Herman, never that under Charlie Strong. The final few years of the Mac Brown era, they never seriously were. And this year, and last year, and maybe for 2023, they actually were. So kudos to Texas there for leveling up their team and really leveling up their defense. I was a doubter for Texas entering 2024 overall. I actually thought they would miss the playoffs and be one of those teams that was power ranked top 10 like Ole Miss, but lose 3 games. And man, was I wrong. Very wrong. I mean, they finished the regular season 11-1 and a playoff lock. And they improved on defense. A huge part of the reason why I doubted Texas entering 2024 was honestly their defense. And the fact that their offense, while it returned all they did in the O-line, their O-line in 23 and also last year, while having a lot of talent, never quite hit that number one O-line in America in terms of college cohesiveness and consistent play, like we've seen from Georgia national championship teams or Washington or Oregon in 2023, for example. So that's why I doubted him, but I was wrong. And they went up to Michigan in week 2, destroyed them, destroyed Oklahoma. The Georgia game was a shock. Hindsight's 2020, but that was their only regular season loss. Lost to Georgia again, although did a better job competing with them in the SEC championship game. And they competed with Ohio State there when Ohio State was blowing out or dominating everyone else in the college football playoff. So that was impressive. And the defense was a big part of the reason why they were one of the few teams in football to take steps forward from 23 to 24, or at least retain what they had. A lot of teams took steps back because 2024 was a down year relative to 2023, and you had a lot of COVID seniors leaving. But Texas took steps forward. At the absolute worst, stayed the same. And I think they became a better team in terms of the meta from 23 to 24. More balanced overall, especially on defense. Colin Simmons, though, is a player that you should pay attention to. I think he's the number one edge, but you should pay attention to him because even if Texas regresses at certain points on defense, and they lose guys like Jahdae Barron, the Thorpe Award winner, and they lose some linebackers, and they lose a lot of their defensive line, Simmons, as a freshman last year, put up these numbers. Let me read them for you. So he's 6'3", 243 pounds, huge guy, in shape, freak athlete. He's a sophomore this year from Dallas, Texas. He racked up 48 total tackles last year. 14 of them were tackles for loss. He had 9 sacks and 31 pressures. Crazy true freshman. I mean, he won a true freshman award over Jeremiah Smith, and I thought Jeremiah Smith was the best true freshman in the nation by a good margin last year. But wide receiver is a position that will always get more attention than D-end, for example, and Simmons was one of the best, just behind Jeremiah Smith last year. He had, again, 31 pressures, an 82.5 PFF grade, which was 42nd last year among FBS defensive ends, probably better than that if you were to adjust for strength of schedule. And then he was 21st in pass rush grade with a 90. That's crazy. Insane. Again, as a true freshman, and not even being a full-time starter, more of a rotational player, not just a solid starter in every game. Some other cool stats of his is that he only missed 19.5% of his tackles, and I don't know if that's necessarily this amazing thing, but the fact that every 4 out of 5 of his tackles he makes as a freshman and as a defensive end, so you're not like a linebacker or a safety who's going to tackle much more than a defensive lineman, I just thought that was kind of impressive. And then he recorded 9 quarterback hits and I think also had an interception. So, freak athlete. I don't know why people have him outside of their top 50 player lists. I don't get that whatsoever. He's a freak. I mean, he's going to be a future first rounder. Could be pick 1 in round 1 day whenever he declares for the NFL draft, likely in the 2027 NFL draft. I imagine he is a 3 and done, which is the equivalent to the college basketball 1 and done, but in football you have to play 3 years before you can get drafted, which is a rule that I hope stays the same. With where we're going in college football, not to go off on a tangent, I don't know if that will remain the case, but I hope it does. I like that in football you can't just be an amazing true freshman and then leave. I like that. I like that you have to stay. Their projected starting defense is as follows. Murad Watson and Cole Brevard at D-tackle. This is based on my projections, by the way. I factored in some of my projections, same with reading up on Texas and some of their team site depth charts and the R-Lads depth chart. Colin Simmons and Ethan Burke starting at defensive end or edge, if you want to consider Simmons an outside linebacker. Burke's more of a traditional D-end. But D-end, edge, in some systems, outside linebacker is the same thing. Projected starting linebackers, you got Anthony Hill Jr. and Trey Moore. That's the best linebacker duo in America, and it is also the best linebacker group, factoring in their depth in America too. Kobe Black and Malik Muhammad are your projected starting corners, and you got Michael Taaffe, Jelani McDonald, and Jalen Gilbo as your safeties and nickelback. Look out for Alex January, especially for Murad Watson. Mentioned him twice because he's a transfer. Isn't listed on a lot of depth charts yet, but I think he's going to have a good year with Texas's development and the rotation to keep him fresh. Pay attention to Alex January, also at D-tackle, Colton Vasek at D-end, who, if he's healthy, can really make an impact, and also nickelback Jordan Johnson-Rubel. Pay attention to those names as well on the Texas defense. I also want to pan over and just talk about their team in general, how this defense can impact Texas. So I like Texas. Some Texas players that I have as All-Americans on the defensive side of the ball are as follows. I think that Cole Brevard is going to be an All-American this year at defensive tackle, really balled out at Purdue and is just in a better situation at Texas, will be better developed. I think Colin Simmons is the best edge in America, so I have him as the number 1 overall D-end, All-American for sure. Anthony Hill Jr., I think, is the best overall linebacker, and I also have Trey Moore on my All-American team. All-American lists for me are bigger than most, same with my all-conference teams, but still, I mean, they're awesome, Texas and linebacker and defense overall. I have Michael Taaffe and Jelani McDonald as All-Americans at safety, and I have Malik Muhammad as an honorable mention All-American cornerback. Pete Kwiatkowski has a good history of fielding good defenses, and this team overall, I think, is going to be strong at quarterback with Arch Manning this year. I think they're going to figure out running back with better health there. I like their tight ends, their receivers. I think their O-line will even reload. It should. And they have one of the best strength and conditioning programs in the country. So signing the number 1 overall class, portal and recruiting, returning what they do, developing and trending the way they have, I don't think the defense is a question. I think the question is whether they're talented enough to reload or improve, mostly as it relates to the offense, and whether or not the special teams unit can be better. I mean, they're minus 290 to reach the playoffs, over under win total of 9.5. Their schedule is as follows. Week 1 at Ohio State. Week 2, they host San Jose State. Week 3, they host UTEP. They get a bye in Week 4. They play Sam Houston at home Week 5. Play at Florida Week 6. Oklahoma, they play neutral field Week 7. They play at Kentucky Week 8. At Mississippi State Week 9. Host Vanderbilt Week 10. They get a bye Week 11. Play at Georgia Week 12. Host Arkansas Week 13. Host Texas A&M Week 14. I will tell you, too, the last thing I'll say before we get off here is that the wrong team is favored in Week 1. Texas should be the favorite over Ohio State, not the other way around. Ohio State is at home. It's obviously an advantage for them, but Texas returns more, about 3 percentage points more in returning production. They return more there. They return more starters. Their quarterback is more experienced. They have better staff continuity. And the players they bring back on defense are better than the ones Ohio State does. I mean, Ohio State returns Igbinosun, who was super inconsistent last year and was probably the worst player for Ohio State on defense. They bring him back. Downs is the best in America, but Anthony Hill Jr. might be close to him relative to linebacker. And then they return Sonny Styles. Ohio State does. And Sonny Styles is not the linebacker that Anthony Hill Jr. is. Probably isn't even the linebacker that Trey Moore is. And Texas returns Taaffe. They return Malik Muhammad. They return Trey Moore. They return Anthony Hill Jr. They bring back Gilbo. They return Colin Simmons. It's just a lot, guys. And then they did more in the portal than Ohio State did, especially on defense. So, I mean, they got Murad Watson over Ohio State. Murad Watson was one of the only D tackles Ohio State pursued in the portal. So, wrong team's favored there, and a huge part of my logic behind that is Texas's defense. It's the same thing for why I know some people are worried about Texas traveling to Florida. I'm a little worried about it too. At the same time, I have a much easier time seeing Texas push around Florida's defense than Florida push around Texas's defense. I mean, even if Lagway is generational, this Texas defense might be generational. And at that point, there's definitely a path for Texas to win and even win big, even if Lagway pans out to his ceiling. And a lot of people are picking that. So that might be something that's obvious. He also may be a little bit overvalued. I love Texas's defense. Colin Simmons is, I think, going to be a unanimous All-American this year. Don't know how you could think otherwise. Don't undervalue this unit. I think at the very worst, Texas will have the second best defense in the country in 2025. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, joined the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free, and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.